Yesterday was Brett Kavanaugh and Christine Blasey Ford's testimony on this sexual assault allegation. Now, I already covered my thoughts on Christine Blasey Ford's testimony. Now I'm going to break down Brett Kavanaugh's. So, just to set the terms of the discussion here, let's go by what Kavanaugh said himself in his opening statement.
Last time I was here, I told you that when my mom was a prosecutor and I was in high school, she used to practice her closing arguments at the dining room table on my dad and me. As I told you, her trademark line was, use your common sense. What rings true? What rings false?
All right, use your common sense. I think that makes a lot of sense, so let's go by that. Use your common sense. So first up, common sense would say that if you are innocent, you would want as much investigation as possible to prove your innocence. You would want, if you have the ability to ask for an FBI investigation into these allegations. Find out why somebody accusing you of sexual assault if you didn't do it. Or if Christine Blasey Ford, if it was someone else that assaulted her, find out who it was to clear your name. But here's what Brett Kavanaugh says in response to if he wants an FBI investigation.
If you, Judge Kavanaugh, turn to Don McGahn and to this committee and say, for the sake of my reputation, my family name, and to get to the bottom of the truth of this, I am not going to be an obstacle to an FBI investigation, I would hope that all the members of the committee would join me in saying we're going to abide by your wishes and we will have that investigation.
I welcome whatever the committee wants to do because I'm telling the truth.
I want to know what you want to do.
I'm telling the truth.
I want to know what you want to do, Judge.
I'm innocent. I'm innocent of this charge.
Then you're prepared for an FBI investigation?
They don't reach conclusions. You reach the conclusions,
No,
Senator.
but they do investigate questions.
I'm innocent.
And you can't have it both ways, Judge. You can't say here at the beginning,
I wanted a hearing
moment,
Look,
I welcome any kind of investigation.
This thing was
then
sprung
walk
on
away
me.
from this.
This thing was sprung at the last minute after being held by staff. You know.
Judge,
and I called for a hearing immediately.
What was that? And we're only getting started. He's asked, do you want an FBI investigation? All he does is filibuster, make excuses up. This thing was sprung on me. I'm innocent. They don't reach conclusions. Yeah, but they investigate. They interview witnesses. They find out, they connect the dots. They figure out maybe who was there, everybody that was there. They find out, hey, Mark Judge, who hasn't been questioned at all, maybe since he's supposed to be in the room, according to Christine Blasey Ford, we question him, find out how he responds to these questions. That's what the investigation would do. But Brett Kavanaugh, for somebody who says he's innocent, appears to really not want an FBI investigation into these allegations. Let's go on to the second part of this back and forth.
If there is no truth to her charges, the FBI investigation will show that. Are you afraid that they might not?
Come on, Jay Whip.
The FBI does not reach. That's a phony question because the FBI doesn't reach conclusions. They just provide the 302s. With 302s, so I can explain to people who don't know what that is. They just go and do what you're doing, ask questions, and then type up a report. They don't reach the bottom line.
This morning, I asked Dr. Ford. I asked her about this incident where she ran into Mark Judge at a Safeway, and she said, "Sure, I remember it. 6 or 8 weeks after this occurrence." Well, someone at the Washington Post went in and took a look at Mr. Judge's book and has been able to, the run that he wrote about his addiction and his alcoholism. And they have narrowed it down what they think was a period of time, 6 or 8 weeks after the event. And he would have been working at the Safeway at that point. So the point I'm getting to is we at least can connect some dots here and get some information. Why would you resist that kind of investigation? Why would you resist that kind of investigation?
Sir, I wanted the hearing last week.
I'm asking about the FBI investigation.
The committee figures out how to ask the questions. I'll do whatever. I've been on the phone multiple times with committee counsel. I'll talk to...
Judge Kavanaugh, will you support an FBI investigation right now?
I will do whatever the committee wants to
Personally, do you think that's the best thing for us to do? You want to answer?
Look, Senator, I've said I wanted a hearing, and I'd said I was welcome anything. I'm innocent.
I mean, come on. Dick Durbin asks him personally, do you want an FBI investigation? How does Kavanaugh respond? Silence for like 5-6 seconds. Nothing. If you are innocent, this is not how you act. I mean, not to mention the other stuff that we could speculate on, like his body language, the way he's answering these questions. All of that aside, the answers themselves. He does not want an FBI investigation. If you are innocent, you would want one. If I was innocent, I would want any agency imaginable to look into it, to prove that I'm innocent. Kavanaugh doesn't want that. Common sense, as Kavanaugh says, common sense would say that if you don't want an FBI investigation, you are guilty. But there's more. Oh yeah, there's more. So, look, if you lie about smaller things, it's fair to say that you're willing to lie about larger things. So let's go through some of those lies that Kavanaugh said throughout this testimony. First up, let's talk about his yearbook here and what the Ralph Club is.
Beach Week Ralph Club biggest contributor. What does the word Ralph mean in that?
That probably refers to throwing up. I'm known to have a weak stomach, and I always have. In fact, the last time I was here, you asked me about having ketchup on spaghetti. I always have had a weak stomach.
I don't know that I asked about ketchup on spaghetti, but...
You didn't, someone did.
Okay.
And this is well known. Anyone who's known me, like a lot of these people behind me, have known me my whole life, know, I got a weak stomach, whether it's with beer or with spicy food or anything.
So the vomiting that you reference in the Ralph Club reference related to the consumption of alcohol?
Senator, I was the top of my class academically, busted my butt in school, captain of the varsity basketball team, got into Yale College. When I got into Yale College, got into Yale Law School, worked my tail off.
And did the word Ralph you used in your yearbook
I already
relate to
answered the
alcohol?
question.
Did it relate to alcohol?
I like
You
beer.
haven't answered that.
I like beer. I don't know if you do.
Okay.
Do you like beer, Senator, or not? What do you like to drink?
Next one is,
Senator, what do you like to drink?
Judge, have you...
Like, what a child. Look how combative he is with these answers. He can't even directly answer that, yes, there's been times where I've drank too much and I've thrown up. That's normal. I think most people that drink have experienced that at some point. Yes, I have vomited from drinking, especially when I was younger, because when I was younger, I just started drinking, so I had a weak stomach. Like, he could have just said that. It's a simple answer. It's very relatable. It's nothing crazy. But he can't even admit to that. If he's willing to lie about alcohol not making him throw up when he was younger, what else is he willing to lie about? If you're willing to lie about something that small, you are willing to lie about sexual assault. And again, we can also talk about his body language, the way he leans back after answering, like he's like, oh, I can't believe that I'm being asked these questions. He is incredibly uncomfortable in that seat. Again, if I'm there, if you're there, you are innocent, you know you are innocent. Yes, you're going to be angry at times. Yes, you may be stern, but you're going to be clear and concise in your answers. You can say, yeah, of course I drank a lot when I was a kid and I threw up at times, but that doesn't mean I committed sexual assault. But he's lying even about the smallest things. Next, let's talk about boofing.
I don't know if it's boofed or boofed. How do you pronounce that?
That refers to flatulence. We were 16.
Okay. And so when your friend Mark Judge said put the same thing in his yearbook page back to you, he had the same meaning. It was flatulence.
I don't know what he did, but that's my recollection. We want to talk about flatulence at age 16 on a yearbook page. I'm game.
That's just a straight up lie. He knows he's lying. Everyone knows he's lying. Boofing is not that. I knew what boofing was before this. You could look it up. So on Urban Dictionary, they have all these slang terms. Boofing. So there's actually two different ways of looking at it, but they both mean kind of the same thing. So the top definition here on Urban Dictionary: the act of inserting drugs into the anus for a longer trip, most often occurs at disco biscuits shows by spun out kids on ketamine. But the more likely scenario for Kavanaugh's case is the act of consuming alcohol via the anus for a rapid buzz. Boofing is clearly having to do with drinking from the anus. I mean, this is, again, a lie that he doesn't have to tell. He could say, yeah, that refers to putting alcohol in the anus, in the butt. It was stupid. It's a thing that I didn't do, but maybe I talked about it in the high school yearbook, whatever. Like, you could just be honest with these definitions. Be honest with what you said there, with who you were back then. But you can't even do that. These basic, unneeded lies that build up to this character showing that you are willing to lie about the smallest things, then you are also likely willing to lie about sexual assault. There's more lies. Devil's Triangle.
Devil's Triangle.
Drinking game.
How's it played?
3 glasses in a triangle.
And?
You ever played quarters?
No.
Okay, it's a quarters game.
This lie is so outrageous that he was made fun of on Urban Dictionary. So here's their entry about this. A pretend drinking game made up on September 27th, 2018 by Honorable Brett Kavanaugh when faced with credible allegations of sexual assault put forward by no less than 4 so far women. Devil's Triangle is a threesome with 2 men and 1 woman, not a drinking game like quarters as Kavanaugh would like everyone to believe. Devil's Triangle can also be defined as a lie told under perjury when a belligerent white male feels cornered when confronted with his own disgusting behavior, most likely with the blessing of a patriarchal and misogynistic system. So there you go. Devil's Triangle is and always has been a threesome with 2 men and 1 woman. It is not a drinking game. Kavanaugh just completely made that up. Now, again, why? He could have just said Devil's Triangle means a threesome. It doesn't mean I engaged in one, but we thought it was funny, so we talked about it in high school, whatever. But no, he just makes up these unneeded lies, these unnecessary lies that, again, lead us to believe that he is capable of lying about much larger things. And if you think this is just, me and Urban Dictionary and other kids my age that think this, no. People Kavanaugh's age that he went to school with also recognize that Kavanaugh lied here. So this from David Enrich. Based on extensive interviews by me and Kate Kelly with Kavanaugh's former Georgetown prep classmates, what he just said about the meanings of boofed and Devil's Triangle is not true. So other students that went to school with Brett Kavanaugh admitted that Kavanaugh lied about those definitions. Kavanaugh knows that he's lying there, but he, for whatever reason, doesn't want to tell the truth. He wants to paint this picture of him being this perfect student, never did anything wrong. Maybe he drank sometimes, but he never got blackout drunk. Doesn't know what, a Devil's Triangle, oh, that's just a drinking game. He's a liar. And all of these lies build up. There's more. Believe it or not, there's more from this yearbook. So this is on Renata alumni.
You mentioned, I think, the Renata, I don't know how you pronounce that. That's a proper name of an individual, you know?
Renata?
Renata? It's spelled with an E at the end, Renate. Is that
Correct.
Okay. And then after that is the word alumnius. What does the word alumnius mean in that context?
I explained that in my opening statement. She was a great friend of ours. A bunch of us went to dances with her. She hung out with us as a group. The media circus that has been generated by this thought and reported that it referred to sex. It did not. Never had any, as she herself said on the record, any kind of sexual interaction with her. And I'm sorry how that's been misinterpreted, and sorry about that, as I explained in my opening statement, because she's a good person. And to have her name dragged through this hearing is a joke and really an embarrassment.
A joke and an embarrassment? The only reason they are talking about her is because you wrote her name in your yearbook saying that you were a Renata alumni. Anybody with half a brain that's been to high school, that watches movies, TV, knows what the insinuation there is. It's obvious that it means that you had sex with her, or at least you wrote that you did. It doesn't mean you actually did, but that's clearly what it insinuates. Yet you even had to lie about that. Oh, it's because we were friends. Yes, it just so happens that me and the other guys on the football team all wrote this in our yearbook because we're good friends with her. You know what it means. And Renata herself also recognizes that. I learned about these yearbook pages only a few days ago, Dolphin said in a statement to the Times. I don't know what Renata alumnus actually means. I can't begin to comprehend what goes through the minds of 17-year-old boys who write such things, but the insinuation is horrible, hurtful, and simply untrue. I pray their daughters are never treated this way. I will have no further comment. Again, whether she actually hooked up with these boys or Kavanaugh doesn't matter. It's that Kavanaugh is lying about what that is supposed to mean. He could have said, yeah, I wrote that in my yearbook. It means that it means to tell other people that I had sex with her, but I didn't. I was just being a stupid teenage boy. I wasn't respecting her the way I should have been at that time, but I'm now an adult. I don't feel that way. I don't act this way. I don't talk that way. I've changed. But no. He lies again. Makes up some story. Oh, it's because we were friends. Yes, we were good friends. That, I mean, does anybody believe that? So let's move on to the next clip here. Now, common sense would say, if you poll Miss Mitchell, the sex crimes prosecutor that the Republicans were using to question both Ford and Kavanaugh, if you poll Miss Mitchell in the middle of the Kavanaugh hearings, it must be because she wasn't doing what you wanted her to do. Maybe she was exposing some truth that you didn't want her to expose. Here's a breakdown of that.
I would like you to look at the July 1st entry. The entry says, and I quote, "Go to Timmy's for skis with Judge, Tom, PJ, Bernie, and Squee."
Squee.
Okay.
It's a nickname.
Okay. To what does this refer and to whom?
So first says Tobin's house workout. So that's one of the football workouts.
She touched the stove, which was the calendar July 1st.
Yep.
She said, you got this thing on July 1st. Go to Timmy's for skis with Judge, the person who is in the allegation, and PJ, also who is in the allegation. That's a Thursday in July of the summer at a house with Judge and PJ and Brett Kavanaugh all together drinking. She got there, and that is when the blow-up happened and she was fired.
Yep.
What was that?
That was no accident. Here's the thing. Look, I was not in favor of Ms. Mitchell being the one to ask questions, but she was there. When it came time for Kavanaugh to testify, and Mitchell started doing the same thing.
She did.
She actually was asking him fact-based questions, and he was evasive, and he couldn't answer them, and they did not want that to happen, and that is why she got fired on the spot.
There you go. Again, common sense would say, if the Republicans don't like what Miss Mitchell is doing, then they're going to stop her and take over themselves. And Why wouldn't they like what Miss Mitchell is doing? Maybe it's because they're getting to some actual truth, and Kavanaugh is not looking good, which is why if you watch the hearings, once the Republicans took over, they're the ones that did all the talking. Lindsey Graham went on like a 5-minute tirade all by himself. So they purposely took over so that Kavanaugh wouldn't have to answer questions from both sides. And Miss Mitchell likely touched on a potential date there for when that party actually happened. Unbelievable. Now, let's get to, I think, the second last clip here. And this one, again, I mean, there are so many moments like this, but this is Kavanaugh being questioned about his drinking. And look how he reacts.
Drinking is one thing, but the concern is about truthfulness. And in your written testimony, you said sometimes you had too many drinks. Was there ever a time when you drank so much that you couldn't remember what happened or part of what happened the night before?
No, I remember what happened, and I think you've probably had beers, Senator, and so
you're saying there's never been a case where you drank so much that you didn't remember what happened the night before or part of what happened?
you're asking about, blackout. I don't know. Have you?
Could you answer the question, Judge? That's not happened. Is that your answer?
Yeah, and I'm curious if you have.
I have no drinking problem, Judge.
Yeah, nor do I.
Okay, thank you.
What was that? This is somebody who is clearly uncomfortable with the questions that he is being asked. He's asked, have you ever forgot moments from the night before because you drank too much? I don't know, have you? What? This is the I know you are, but what am I defense? He can't simply say, you know what? Yeah, when I was a kid, I drank a lot. There may have been moments when I forgot the night before or forgot moments of the night before, had a spotty memory because of it. I think that's normal. I think a lot of people have experienced that. That doesn't mean I committed sexual assault. I would have remembered that. I'm not that kind of person. Do a proper investigation. Do an FBI investigation. Look into everything. Ask everyone around me. Ask everyone that's ever known me about this. Do an investigation and find out the real facts behind this and why I'm being accused of this. But he didn't do that. He throws the questions back at the senators, clearly is very uncomfortable in his chair throughout this entire time. I mean, let's do a thought experiment for a second. Imagine this was a black woman. This wasn't a middle-aged white man. This was a black woman. Comes out, is pissed off at everyone about this entire process. When asked about her drinking, she shifts in her chair and says, do you have a drinking problem? What do you drink? What would people think? What would people think? The exact same answers, the exact same mannerisms, the exact same questions, but it's a black woman, not a white man. What would conservatives be saying? What would anybody be saying? It would be just as obvious to me as it is here that this person is guilty. Yet, it appears when men are emotional, when men can't take questions like this, it's more easily accepted in society. So I saw this great tweet from Denzikin Grimes, and they say women are too emotional, with a picture of Kavanaugh and Lindsey Graham, the two most emotional people at these hearings. Just to give you, again, an idea of what is and isn't acceptable in greater society. Now, I want to go back, sort of go full circle here, to the point that I think is the most important. And that's Kavanaugh's inability to want or to ask for an FBI investigation. Here's just another clip of that exchange.
Are you willing to ask the White House to conduct an investigation by the FBI to get to whatever you believe is the bottom of the allegations that have been levied against you?
The FBI would gather witness statements. You have the witness statements. They don't
I don't want to debate with you how they do their business. I'm just asking, are you willing to ask the White House to conduct such an investigation? Because as you are aware, the FBI did conduct a background investigation into you
Yes.
before we were aware of these most recent allegations. So are you willing to ask the White House to do that? And say yes or no, and then we can move on.
We've had 6 background investigations over 26 years.
Sir, as it relates to the recent allegations, are you willing to have them do it?
The witness testimony is before you. No witness who was there supports that I was there.
Okay, I'm going to take that as a no, and we can move on.
I mean, that's it. That tells you everything you need to know. Anytime he's asked about this FBI investigation, don't even look at his body language. Don't look at anything else. Listen to his answers. He does not want an FBI investigation. Why? If you were accused of something that you know you didn't do, how would you react? I think anybody would want an FBI investigation to get to the truth, to clear your name. He is so obviously guilty. And it appears other people that once endorsed him also have some questions around this after this hearing. So the Catholic Jesuit paper rescinded its Kavanaugh endorsement. And the American Bar Association say delay Kavanaugh until FBI investigates assault allegations. And Yale Law School dean also calls for a delay to Kavanaugh vote. All of these institutions, these groups that were his allies, have recognized that Kavanaugh clearly, at least on the surface here, appears to be guilty. He doesn't even want an FBI investigation. So there's nothing else left to say. If you watched the entirety of this of these hearings as I did, it lasted all day yesterday. I watched all of it. It's obvious that Kavanaugh did this, and he doesn't want it investigated.